love and recommend this one. Tea break. Hello and welcome back to my channel, HannahRuthTea, talking all about loose leaf tea. So after I did last video of the Keema Malfang, I am very much enjoying getting back into tea and drinking it, and I thought rather than doing another tasting and sort of just overwhelming my palate with trying lots of different teas and trying to just get back into it, I would talk about my tea book collection and the books and resources that I use to refer back to and that I'm constantly learning from in my tea journey. Now, much like the tea themselves, I would devour reading the books, and anytime I found a tea book I would buy it, and that is still the case, though kind of not that you really can see many books out because we can't go out. But I've realised from my time of kind of being away from drinking tea and enjoying it that actually I haven't been learning about tea, and actually it's just a really interesting history and kind of the background of from when sort of it first coming about and being I suppose discovered in China, to sort of the later, over the last kind of 500 years of British influence over tea, and even like the modern kind of revival of tea and appreciation. So I really have used to enjoy learning, and I want to get back into it. So for me this is a bit of a sort of kick up the backside to get back into reading my books and learning about joy of tea. So I'm going to group them into kind of actual tea knowledge and resources, the history of tea, and then enjoyment and kind of the dining experience of tea. So my first book is Tea Classified by Jane Pettigrew and Bruce Richardson. Now, if you don't know about Jane Pettigrew, she is the queen of tea. That's all I can really say. She knows everything, and she's kind of championing the revival and knowledge and expertise of tea. I've met her a couple times. I fangirled. Have I got this one signed? Yes, got this one signed. I got a signed copy. But this was the first book that I bought, and this was when I did the Tea Masters course, even though it was like kind of intro to tea. Back in the day when I worked for a tea company and was trying to start learning actually about tea. Anyway, amazing day up in London trying tea. But what the amazing thing about this book is that it gives you a bit of history on tea. Is it this book? Or I think it's the other one. Oh no, it is this one. So it says, I mean, this book, if you're gonna start getting into tea, this is the book to get. It goes from kind of tea origins to how the Chinese drank the tea beyond China borders, tea reaches Europe, tea for the British, and I mean it says at Saltram House in Devon, Chinese wallpaper showing the various stages of tea manufacture decorated the walls of the Chinese Chippendale bedroom, while in other parts of this elegant Georgian house, cabinets and shelves held early examples of European and English pottery, as well as stoneware, teapots and tea bowls, Chinese porcelain tea jars decorated with roses, and lidded tea bowls covered in butterflies and delicate oriental flowers. Now, Saltram is just down the road from me in Plymouth, literally, like, I mean, not you can see it, almost can see it, can see the grounds, kind of, sort of, at some points on the dog walk you can see it. So the fact that this is just down the road from me and this is here is amazing. Have I been in once or twice, and it was during events at Saltram, so we weren't actually able to see these bits, but I always like telling people that they're there. But then there's there's the kind of introduction to tea and that knowledge, and then it goes through and has kind of about tea basics, and then it groups them into countries. Yes, it groups them into countries and then breaks down the tea from there. And you've got dry leaf, wet leaf, liquor, a little bit of an information about the tea, and brewing tips, which is just, it's amazing. And yeah, this is just sort of a great essential essential book to have. So very much love that one. Loads of pictures and stuff, which I think is really important because of the different stages of drinking tea. You know, being able to kind of look at it and understand it is really good. So definitely recommend. Well, I do recommend this one, but then they did a kind of new edition of the book called The New Tea Companion. Though to be honest, I mean, you could have all of them anyway. Tea origins in China, how the Chinese drank tea beyond Chinese borders, tea reaches Europe, tea in Russia, tea for the British, tea in North America, the renaissance of tea, naming teas, and loads of bits on the production, and then guide to teas from around the world. Again, it's similar, showing you the kind of the country, key points of production, and then the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor, brewing tips and character. And again, loads of photos. It's brilliant, great to refer to. So yes, again, I mean, similar book, slightly updated, but brilliant and great if you're looking for kind of the essential guide. So definitely both of these ones are great books if you're looking for both an introduction and a little bit more advanced. It's not sort of huge, but there's so much information packed in these, and they're just brilliant books. Absolutely love them. Then the next one, which I have to say visually is kind of one of my favourites to look at, is this book, which we're getting at the light, Tea, History, Terroir, Varieties, second edition, the Camellia Sinensis Tea House. And I don't know the guys that like wrote it, but it's almost like it's a wonderful coffee table book, and I just love the cover. It's just so pretty. Again, similar of history of tea, doesn't go too much from introduction to it, pretty much goes straight into, I don't know, it does, but breaks it down into countries, areas, different types of teas, loads of information, and again, loads of photos, but it's kind of colour coded, different ways to make tea, and actually a lot on production, and again, you can see loads of pictures, and just absolutely love this book. It's just, yeah. Between this one and the last two, typically go to these two first, but I just this is a sort of, it's a joy to read it. So definitely love that one. Interviews with industry professionals, loads of different photos. So yes, very, very much. I found the caffeine magazine that I was in. I've forgotten that I've squished it between the books to keep it secure, safe and flat. Yeah. Oh, I was in caffeine. In my article, I wrote a whole thing on white tea. I did that. And then the next book I've got, so I have to say I don't tend to come to this book so much, but I think I saw it in TK Maxx and was like, I'm getting it. It says tea on it. It is The Book of Tea by Tea Pigs. It's the same sort of book, a lot on different areas, different cultures, again loads of photos. Maybe I should look at this more, but I just I don't know, I've just found I gravitated towards the other ones first. Oh, that's kind of cool. Top tea guzzlers from around the world. That's pretty cool. I haven't had a problem with this book. I think I've just found when I needed kind of the more in detail stuff. There's a lot of kind of where to get teas from, different in different countries. History of tea. I don't know why I haven't. I don't know why. Just as I look through it, it's actually quite nice. So I apologise, Tea Pigs. But it is it's an interesting book. You know, it's very aesthetically pleasing to look at it. Lots of different, some things with food. That's pretty cool. Oh, matcha chocolate and ginger tiramisu. Sounds nice. So I feel a bit bad. Not one I've naturally gone to. I do occasionally, but I think I'll have to look through this again for some ideas of recipes and things to try, because actually I think it's the sort of book that if you've got a tea lover that you're looking for a gift for, it's a nice book in the same way that you'd give someone like a really nice recipe book. This is the sort of thing that I think actually would be quite a nice one to give, along with some tea pigs. Tea, you wanted to. And then one where I cannot for the life of me think of where I got it from. I can't think of whether it was actually TK Maxx or whether actually something like WH Smith or someplace, but How to Make Tea, The Science Behind the Leaf. Now I have to say, actually, the book just looks very pretty. It's got sort of, oh! I found the Chemo Malfang card. I knew I had one somewhere. Oh, you dipstick, Hannah. Well, that would have been good for last week, wasn't it? Clearly, I didn't look through this book. I had all the other ones out. Oh dear. Never mind. So anyway, the problem with this book is that it doesn't have the photos. It's got drawings, very lovely drawings, and it's a lot of information. I just find I like to look at the photos when sometimes explaining teas, or especially if I'm looking for kind of the closest match or blends. So it's not quite always the one. However, very interesting one. So it's got kind of like the classification of tea. Where's another one? Ooh, tea chemistry. So actually like molecular breakdown of tea, caffeine, and various bits and stuff, different types of tea, teapots and temperature thermometers and stuff. Shelf life of tea, that's probably something I should look at. Different types of different shaped tea bags. So really interesting, and again, science, if you've got someone who loves tea, loves science, I think like this is a really interesting book. I just really like the green and silver embossed book, but it's kind of that small handy little book, so definitely really like this one, but I don't go to it as often if I'm looking for top up information on my teas. Then on to more of the historical and cultural books. One that I think I got on Amazon or even eBay is The Empire of Tea, The Remarkable History of the Plant That Took Over the World. Now, I think I read this as soon as it came in. It was all right, not really information-y. It was sort of more like a history book. It talks about how the kind of the culture and consumption of tea moved from China to Europe, and then across obviously to America, and does talk about the both the Industrial Revolution and American Revolution, I think. But it is, I find it, I read it and it was really interesting at the time, but it wasn't a lot of information that I kept on board, so probably do need to top up again. I think it's a kind of honest historical eye-opening look into actually the impact of tea. And then I've got The True History of Tea, which I kind of like the back of it. Now the front cover kind of does make me feel uncomfortable, but I think it's, you know, it's true history. Actually we often forget that sort of how much tea played a part in the United Kingdom trying to take over India and include it under the British Empire, which it did, and what that meant for actually India. And you know, actually, did you think of it as just being a fluffy drink, but actually there's sort of so many political, social, economical things that impact it. So yeah, I think my mum got me this book a good few years ago. Again, really interesting from a historical perspective, and the reality in it. I don't know if it goes, oh yeah, British tea. So no, it's a kind of really informative book, not really pictures, I mean some, but it's sort of, you know, it's not about the drinking tea, tea tasting, it's about the history of tea. So yeah, so you kind of, it's I just want to say, not is it a good book, but good book for that one. Again, I think I read through it quickly as when I first got it, so this is like 5 years ago. So you do need to top up on reading that one. You're gonna just have to reread everything pretty much. And then I've got another Jane Pettigrew and Bruce Richardson book, A Social History of Tea. Quite like the cover because pretty ladies. And got that one signed as well. Woo woo. But again, a lot on history. This one has kind of a few more pictures. Found another bookmark. A lot of kind of stuff to reference to, loads of photos, like paintings and pictures of things, and kind of teaware. Boston Tea Party, and the kind of impact on that. Great American Tea Company, Jane Austen. So again, really informative book. I found this one when I've done like tea talks, because I used to do kind of tea talks and tea tasting events. This one was sort of a nice one to have out because it was sort of easy to flick through and people could kind of take in chunks of it, because it doesn't feel kind of too intense with how they've laid it out. So yeah, that's a good book as well. It says like the selling price of teas in the 1800s, which is interesting. So yeah, no, that was kind of, I mean, they're all pretty good books. So I'm just going to be like, yeah, they're all good books because they are. And this is kind of a good thing from every one of them, really. I do find that as I'm trying to, you know, learn about the tea tasting and trying teas, getting more teas, it is also important to kind of learn the historical side, because actually again, when you're talking to people, it's really interesting to kind of share about the different dynamics and whether they're myths and legends about how teas were made, whether it's kind of Earl Grey or how Lapsang Souchong was made. I think people find it really interesting to have a kind of story to base the experience of tasting the tea on, whether or not it's true. I just think it is kind of quite fun sometimes. Then another Jane book, Tea Time, a complete collection of traditional recipes. And this has kind of very little to do with tea, even though it does have a bit in the front. It's more to do about the things that go with the tea, and if we're being honest, isn't that half the fun? Tea cakes, biscuits, brandy snaps, lemon tarts, and all sorts of things. So loads of recipes, some photos, kind of older style photos, if we're being honest. But hang on, let's see when this book was made. 1988. Wow. But loads of things to make from, and it's it's a nice kind of afternoon tea vibe. It's very good. Whole afternoon tea experience is just what kind of elevates. Where's the tea? It does elevate a tea experience with people, I think, and actually having something where you compare it just elevates flavours and enjoyment, because who doesn't love cake? And this one, actually, I think I found it in, I can't remember what supermarket it was, but like they have charity section, like at the, you've gone through the tills, and as you're walking out there is like a book, I think it's like a Morrison's or something. They had like a bookshelf of books, and I was just waiting whether Josh was paying, and I was waiting for him, so I was having a flick through and saw Tea Time, it's Jane's book. I'm gonna get it. So I bought it for, I don't know how much for, not much, probably £1 or £2. And yes, very lovely book. Can't remember where I got this book from, but the Ritz London Book of Afternoon Tea. I've been to the Ritz for a cocktail, haven't been for tea. Can't remember where I got this from, but kind of the same thing. Shares a bit more about tea and tea at the Ritz, actually having tea at the Ritz, to share a couple of sort of stories and history. Oh no, it does give ingredients. Less so on the kind of pictures as in cute kind of little drawings and things, but just a very kind of cute little book. It's just like, you know, kind of one of those little delightful books to have. And maybe I got it from eBay. No, Amazon. I think I got this one from. Another book I was gifted one year along with, is it the Salon, I think, is tea, a Fortnum & Mason's. Just, you know, who doesn't love the turquoise? So sophisticated, darling. And this one is the same thing really, of history on Fortnums and history of tea. Then lots of kind of different gradings and descriptions of tea, and then going into the kind of things to make, so biscuits, sandwiches, oh, pastries. Oh, that looks good. And it didn't actually say what to drink it with. That's a bit of a shame. But very cute ones, lots of pictures then. And it's Fortnum, so again it's kind of a very lovely one to either receive or buy for yourself as a little treat, because why not? Oh, iced tea. Oh, sounds good. So yeah, so that's a cute little book as well. And then my final book isn't really actually a tea one, but it's one, for some reason it came up on our like wedding registry as things we could put down, and I saw it and I wanted it. But it is a flavour thesaurus. So essentially it's a really handy thing when I've done the tea training, is we've had kind of flavour wheels, and actually being able to there's a combination, I feel, of I don't want to be too guided and told what flavours to expect, but also having a bit of a guide, so going, it's this sort of flavour but I can't think of the words, and then seeing it on the wheel you go, oh yeah, I get that one. So I do find it's visually sort of quite attractive, but if I'm thinking of certain flavours, so I find with greens it's really hard to explain it without it sounding like you've got kind of spinach or it's apple or it's kind of thing. But actually then if you look it on here, there's, you know, pea and pepper or basil, avocado, and you go, oh actually those flavours helping, like that's the flavour I'm thinking of. So I do like it. It talks about flavours of food, so kind of does give the description of, just because I opened this one, mustardy, so watercress, caper, horseradish. So different flavours that you get with different meals and stuff that go along with that. So not necessarily that it's anything particular to do with tea. I think there's a very short section on tea, if I can find it. Probably not, because that's done it by descriptions. Wow, that's going to be hard to find. Yeah, I don't know if I'm sure I saw like the word tea on here once somewhere. Probably. They've got coffee. How can you have tea? Seems a bit awful. No. Anyway, but it's not kind of the tea book necessarily, but I did, when I was doing more tea tastings, go to it for kind of that flavour reminder of visually kind of nice book. It's a bit of a random book. It's not like a cooking book, and neither is it a specific thing, but actually it's quite a fun thing. But you know, pairings, recipes and ideas for the creative cook. So even if you're not into tea, or you know, you're looking for a gift for someone who's into cooking, quite a good book. So that is my tea book collection. Tried to say that a few times. It is a bit of a variety. I don't read just one. I kind of go to different ones depending on what I'm looking for. I honestly haven't read them for a while. I have, as I've started to do my videos again, if I know I'm looking for a certain flavour or a certain tea, I have gone looking for that, but I haven't kind of actually just read and enjoyed and kind of absorbed the information. So definitely something I'm going to try getting back into with the afternoon tea books and the kind of the cooking books that go alongside tea. I think it's definitely something that I could have some fun with. But hopefully that's been interesting for you to see a bit about the books that I have in my collection. I have put links down below where I can find them. Obviously, if some of them are a little bit older or no longer in print, I'll try and find the closest one, but I'll put all of the list of the books and authors down below if you want to have a look for them. Is there any book that I'm missing? Do you know of any books that if you're a tea lover you have to get your hands on? not that I need it, like, not that I should buy any more books. I don't really need an excuse to buy any more books, but always really interested to find out what they are. Do let me know if you've got any already, or if you are interested in any, or if you end up getting them. I'd love to know what your thoughts on the books are. But I hope everyone is doing well, and I will see you all soon. Bye.